literature and a group of immersed readers with an appreciation of the written word. Authors and readership gather in an informal and engaging setting. It is a stellar literary initiative organized by Prabhakitan Foundation. This evening, we have the privilege of hosting a captivating conversation between esteemed author Ms. Koral Dasgupta and the seasoned conversationalist of PKF, Ms. Vinti Katuria. SR student from the land of Taj. A heartfelt welcome to both of you. Before we dive into the most awaited conversation of the evening, let me take a couple of minutes to talk about PKF. The Prabhakitan Foundation is a non-profitable trust committed to humanitarian and socio-cultural causes. The late Dr. Prabhakitan established it as a charitable trust in the early 1980s. Based in Kolkata, it is committed to supporting women's empowerment, gender equality, literature, culture, and performing arts. Late Dr. Prabhakitan was an eminent Indian literature, philanthropist, social worker, entrepreneur, and feminist who established the foundation and believed in unity in diversity. PKF organizes authors' meet, book launches, literature fest, panel discussions, boutique festivals, and events of performing arts. Music is a vital organ of Prabhakitan Foundation. We are happy to share that three-time Grammy Award winner, Mr. Ricky Cage, who we had the privilege of hosting in Meerut a few months ago, the man behind the anthem and signature collar tune of Prabhakitan Foundation, has curated 12 amazing musical theme-based pieces for our video invites and social media platforms. The song Vasudeva Kutumbakam for the month of July is dedicated to the theme of one family. Now let me introduce you all to the guest author for the day. There are really many adjectives to describe Ms. Koral Dasgupta, the author, but the apt one would be versatile. She is an author who has published an eclectic range of books from academic non-fiction to relationship dramas. Her stories explore the inherent nature of complex mind, leading to a relatable conflict and unpredictable climax. Having published widely, her books are discussed from the context of gender studies, art, myth, eco-critical literature. Other than India, Koral's books are shelved in libraries around the world, like in University of Harvard, Columbia University, University of Pennsylvania, University of Chicago, and many more around the globe. Her fourth book, Summer Holidays, has been optioned for screen adaptation. She is currently working on 5-book Sati series, a retelling of the stories of Panchakanya from the Indian mythology. Ahalya, Kunti, Draupadi, Mandodari are already on the shelf. Tell Me Your Story, founded by Koral, leverages literature to design and execute extensive learning programs which inspire social engagement and behavioral change for inclusion and diversity. The moderator of the evening is my dear friend Vinti Katuria, SAS woman of Agra. Besides being a successful entrepreneur, she is an eager literature enthusiast. Today's event is in association with media partner Dainik Jagran and the unwavering support of SAS Women of Meerut. So sit back and relax, as I believe our conversationalist will skillfully guide the conversation, weaving together a tapestry of thoughts and ideas that will leave you inspired and yearning for more. Viniti, over to you.
And to get this opportunity to interact with a multifaceted lady, Koral Dasgupta. Koral, you're someone who dons many hats. You're a homemaker, wife, mother, teacher, author, painter, entrepreneur. I would like to start by asking you my first question. Which is your most favorite role as a woman?
To begin with, thanks to all of you who are here this evening. Big thanks to Prabhakatan Foundation and SAS Women, Anindita, Anshuji, and everybody else. SAS Women, I feel that they are the most talented ones and the most stylish ones. And every time I go back after a Prabhakatan Foundation event, I take back some style tips from them. So I reappear with some borrowed style tips. Coming to your question, Binti, the role that I enjoyed the most, I think motherhood encompasses everything. And that is not just about giving birth to a child, giving birth to the life that I am leading, giving birth to the entity that I am called an entrepreneur for. Giving birth to a few amateurish paintings that I do often on to release stress, and of course giving birth to a child and bringing him up, which is the most scary part of the existence, but also a lot more exciting. We fight a lot, we make up a lot, and we tell each other that we hate each other. So I think these balance, motherhood is the essence of entrepreneurship.
So I see there's a lot of love in your books. Like you've mentioned relationships, different cities, love relations. So are you yourself born in Calcutta, brought up there, and you've lived in multi-cities. So I would like to know that what draws your attention towards this, like the whole love angle, or what's your first memory when you began the journey of writing?
Love is something that I think after our birth, a lot of things happen, and some of us, at least in my generation, grew up with an utopian dream that someday Prince Charming will come and something beautiful will happen and a fairy tale life. I still live with that fairy tale dream. It took me a long time to understand that itna bhi fairy tale nahi hoti hai, right? But then the dream is so weird that it just doesn't go. You still believe that kuch to ho jayega. And when it doesn't happen, you create a parallel universe. So I think my books are more of that creating a creation of the parallel universe where I am the god. चीजें वैसी होगी जैसा मैं कहूँगी, and the joy of writing them is fulfilling some things that will probably never happen, and also the gratitude of some things that have happened.
Yeah, whatever you're writing, you never know what comes out true, whenever. So I believe in that. Keep writing, whatever you want. So tell me your Story Biz is a platform you created to assist budding writers and storytellers. So what prompted you to start this venture? And if you could tell us more, that what exactly goes behind it?
So tell me your story, Biz. We started it long back in 2016. And that was the time when I was trying to explain to the world, especially the academic world, about the need for online connectivity, where people across the world can come and share stories. But nobody was believing. They were like, unless a face-to-face interaction happens, that's something like that. This was the usual reaction that I got. And then a few years after, so we still kept alive. Few years after the pandemic happened and everything, we were already in a space which people were rejecting. So we had an upper hand. But during the pandemic, a lot of good things happened. One was a lot of very interesting people came and joined hands, including professors, including thought leaders. And that was the time when we were doing a lot of interactions with people, very talented people across the globe, who were available to share their know-how, because life had suddenly gone into a turn, an overturn, and people wanted to make sense. So since we were reaching out, and we made friends at that time through that. One of our most, a project that was very dear to my heart is, we created something called Lockdown Art for Poverty Affected Children, for underprivileged kids. So the simple idea was that we just submit art and we will flash it on our social media. And this was for children. So we reached out to the parents and said that tell them. So we are not into the business of fundraising for any cause. So we tied up with Akshay Patra Foundation. So people who drew to share the word about underprivileged kids who are suffering so much. Schools band ho gaye, matlab free meals band hai. They are not getting their free kits. So those who drew and painted and or maybe they sang or maybe it was a video of their dance, they also broke their figurines and they made that payment directly to Akshay Patra. And these are all kids, okay? I mean less than 15 years, starting from 7 on. My son also is one of them. So we didn't have, I'm not an entrepreneur by heart, मुझे नहीं पता है money multiplication कैसे होती है. So we were just trying to figure it out. Of course, we always had women specific skew where we always felt that theme chahe kuch bhi ho, women stories are always a little different. So we had that in mind always. So this was the time when a lot of professors came together and we got to streamline ourselves. So now we have story projects, we have workshops where we train budding writers, we have story projects where those who have stories which make sense in a theme, we always go theme based, not unsolicited. And there is something called TNYS Review, which is very much based on the global review journals like Cinematic Review, Kenyan Review, which is very academic. So we carry essays and stories and interviews and reviews and all sorts of literary things. And at the same time, we do a lot of panel discussions with thought leaders from India and across the world on the theme of the project. So it's a complete learning environment, interesting learning environment. But the most important learning that independence we have been able to give them, that you make mistakes, we are there as the bouncing board. If anything goes wrong, it's my platform, I will say sorry. You just go ahead and do it. So that way we have been able to create a very vibrant community.
So from the past 5 years, you've been consistently writing the Sabi series on back-to-back basis. In Sabi series, we discover the compassionate but independent voices of 5 legendary women from ancient India. Hindu philosophical literatures call them the Panch Kanyas, meaning 5 virgins. The 5 prominent and very unique women from our epics, Ahalya, Kunti, Draupadi, Mandodari and Tara. You have remarkably published 1 book a year since 2020, and this year the 4th one from the series, Mandodari, was launched. As we all know that so many narratives have already been written based on these characters, then what made you retell your story? Like where did you find the germinating thought for this?
The very term called Panchkanya, I come from Bengal, where Sati is one term which is used for women's purity of body. औरतों को जलाया गया है, मतलब जिंदा औरतों को they had been thrown into the fire once they were their husbands died. So what they wanted to tell us was, as long as you are alive as a woman, you are loyal to your husband, and even after the death of the husband, you have to show your loyalty by giving up living because he is alive. And those things were done with a lot of charms, and sati ho jana matlab ab devi ho gayi, right? And I think so of course in Bengal, also in Rajasthan, Johar hota hai. So that is a very political thing, and I have grown up with the history of Bengal. I have known about satis. I know about how things were and how it was stopped finally. But even without those, women's purity when it comes to body is a very big taboo, which all of us know. We all are bound under certain circumstances, talking about that purity as our result, that purity as our identity, that purity as all that a woman has, right? Which is translated as 5 virgins. This translation मैंने नहीं किया है. It has been done by very famous, very erudite scholars. And Panchkanya, here we are talking about 5 virgins. And these include Ahalya, Kunti, Draupadi, Mandodari, Kala, all of whom have had relationships beyond their marriage.
That's what I was coming down to, that none of them are. Like, why would they be referred to as virgins?
I mean, you may not know enough about Mandodari and Kala, you know about at least the basics about Draupadi, Ahalya, and Kunti. So how can they be virgins if our Indian culture or Indian ancient religious culture is talking about purity or explaining purity in terms of the body? And it cannot be. I felt that because of course, I'm very interested in Indian mythology. I was very much interested in reading those right from childhood. And it's sisterhood. When you grow up, and religious literature, please understand that it has a lot of impact in shaping social behavior because it is linked with God. Bhagwan absolute है. अब भगवान को मतलब if you question God, you get disturbed yourself because even before our birth, when we are yet to be born, our parents are pregnant with us, right? That is the stage from which parents pray, and they pray to God, who means well, right? And suddenly, if you try to, believe that, question that goodness of God, you get into a self-conflicting mode, जो अपने लिए बहुत disturbing होती है. So I wanted to understand God a little better, and I always felt that God unfair तो नहीं हो सकता. There must be a reason, right? हर चीज़ का एक logic तो होना चाहिए. So it cannot be that God is favoring one form of life over another, and that includes all kinds of life, animals, birds, insects, everything. And if you look at mythology, especially Ramayana, there is the presence of all kinds of life, from magarmach to monkeys to birds, right? So which means that there is space for everything. Then it cannot be that women are meant to be sidelined, and when you tell me stories, बचपन में हम लोग ये stories सुनते हैं कि women are there in the world of men who are great warriors, who are capable of doing the unthinkable, and women's foolishness causes wars and rumors. So obviously your respect towards women gets skewed immediately. That these are the foolish people इनके बेवकूफ की वजह से कुछ ना कुछ गड़बड़ हो रहा है. So if you have a problem, you solve it. And how do you solve the problem if women is the problem? Correct the women. Stop the woman, right? So यही होता है. ऐसे मत चलो, ऐसे मत बैठो, ऐसे मत बोलो, everything, right? So when I came to this idea of what I told you is the spark of that Panchkanya, the term itself. And I felt that there's something deeper into it. The epics are trying to say something else. But many years of patriarchy has used religious stories because, as I said, that religion has huge impact on human brain if you are very right? So many years of patriarchy has used religious stories कि हम और डर जाए, right? And औरतों को औकात में रखा जाए, right? And I felt that this is not what mythology is saying. This is something that opportunists have said. And when I say opportunists, I don't mean Valmiki and Vyasa. I don't mean any of them. What I mean is the people who have explained it further. There's a huge oral culture, right? There's a huge translation culture, which is through roadshows, which is through art. If you just go to Google image and type Draupadi, all the images that you get of Draupadi is from illustration. Draupadi was a great homemaker. Today you ask any homemaker what do you do, immediately थोड़ा सा क्रम्बल हो जाती है. पहले ये करते थे कब? You don't need to justify. Draupadi was a huge homemaker and a very successful homemaker, and she was so successful that people with arms were afraid. दूर-दूर से लोग आते थे उनके hospitality के लिए. We forgot this aspect of Draupadi totally, and what we only remember is the menstruation aspect. So I felt that there is a way more than what we have read into the epics, and I felt that try it.
So now that we're discussing Draupadi, I thought I want to ask you this. Then one thing known about Draupadi was that she was a lady with strong opinions and not hesitant to voice them. A war happened between the Pandavas and the Kauravas. Draupadi was blamed solely for that. So what is your take on that?
See, Indian mythological stories were not commercial fictions. They were written by extremely learned sages who knew a lot about the philosophy of life. They were talking about spiritual stories, the kind of stories that gives you a meaning towards your life. You know those stories, you interpret them in your own way, and then you follow your path. Take inspiration from them if you want to. That was the purpose of the writer. So, these stories, let me just bust two myths about mythology. One is, when we talk about the kings and the queens, they represent any kind of leader. That leader can be this person standing outside. It is just the decisions that he takes which lets him to lead certain things towards something good, change something for good, right? So every story in Indian mythology is metaphorical. It has a philosophical meaning attached to it. They are not meant for pure entertainment. They are meant for learning, for certain, takeaways, right? Second is, the characters, again, are very, very metaphorical. Women's stories are not just women's stories. And men's stories are not just men's stories. There could be a woman who is like Misha. There could be a man who is like Draupadi. And if you look at Draupadi, there are so many people sitting here. We all are in our personal journey of success. And one person raise your hand who have not felt cheated by your own people when you were making that journey of success. One person step back, if you will. All of us, in our journey to success, we get resistance by people who are dearest to us. We feel a breach of trust. When it comes to women, let me just say this, it's a off track. For most men, when you fail, right, and you tell someone dear to you, maybe your mother, maybe your father, that something went wrong, the advice that you usually get is, it's okay, start up and fight, and you have to try and you will win it. 99% of the women here, their people throws that just about. So, right from the beginning, there are lots of boundaries that are, put across. Now, you are talking about Draupadi being the cause of war. I found it really, really interesting that in all these years during which Draupadi's story was used to inspire, to scare, to make people think, actually what people have done is they have totally misunderstood and allowed that misunderstanding to travel. This is about misunderstanding Krishna. Krishna, the idea of Krishna is your supreme being, right? That is what Krishna is. So, agar Krishna supreme being है, which is the Antaratma, that means when Draupadi was in trouble, उनका अंतरात्मा आया था ना, उनका मदद करने. हम सबका आता है. When we are in trouble and we know that certain struggles, the fights are very personal, वो आपके लिए कोई नहीं कर सकता, आप ही को करना है. और उस टाइम पे हमारा अंतरात्मा ही हमारा सहारा होता है, कोई और नहीं. So in Draupadi's story, exactly the same thing has been said. She had her husbands. Arjun was capable of doing everything, but he was barred from participating in helping her out. And that is what happens with everybody. There are some struggles जिसके बारे में आप किसी से बात नहीं कर सकते, अगर बात कर भी ले, कोई आपको हेल्प नहीं कर सकता, वो आपकी अपनी स्ट्रगल है और वो लड़ाई आपको खुद ही लड़नी है. Now coming to the next part of it, which is about the war. Whenever we are in that situation, we have to fight it out. We have decided that this is not acceptable, we have to fight it out. Right? Here comes the leadership lesson from Mahabharata. That we need to understand that we are decision makers, but we are not necessarily executors. हम सब कुछ अकेले नहीं कर सकते. So as a leader, तुम खुद एक leader हो. You are organizing exhibitions. As such, women are leaders. They are executing these events. हम अकेले कुछ नहीं कर सकते, right? We need our Fauj. Draupadi's Fauj were her husbands. She got them. She made sure that they never understand that had happened to her. And there was a parallel conversation happening between Krishna and Draupadi, which is Draupadi's Antarama. And another idea that I give before I end this part. So, Draupadi initiating the war was a leader. Having said that, Draupadi was the queen, right? And for a queen, no decision is personal. Draupadi knows that if there's a war, Arjun is capable of saving her and the family. But what happens to those who die in this, right? So it was not Draupadi's personal decision to go for a war that kills. But yes, certain things had to correct. And if that correction leads to war, for that she did everything that is possible under the law. Because otherwise, the country will go to corrupt people. And letting a country be led by corrupt people is as good as complete death. Right?
So let's get to Mandodari now, your new book. So in your book, Mandodari is the daughter, not just in the book, in general, she is the daughter of the brilliant Asur architect, Mayasur. But in the book you've mentioned that her father never really let her channelize her talent, the things that she wanted to do, like there were projects that she wanted to work on, but she never got an opportunity to do that. She never protested, but she did churn from inside, she was choked from inside. And she got married to the king of Lanka, Ravan, who her father called a sinner. Yet, Ravan allowed her to showcase her talent and let her be the lady behind the remarkable architectural pursuits in creating the splendid golden kingdom of Lanka. As Ravan believed, people worship power, loyalty follows splendor. He took charge to get the power and let Mandodari create the splendor. I would like to know, what do you think, that it was love that had bounded them as husband and wife? Or it was just an engagement where she felt empowered and grateful that she could showcase her talent and live up to her potential as an individual, which was missing while she was unmarried?
What I am doing in this story is I am not changing the basic framework of the story. None of those. Whatever I have heard as a child, that basic framework is retained, and I am just doing the reading between the lines, I am just reading the reinterpretation. So for Mandodari, the first clue that I had was the fact that she was Mayasur's daughter. Mayasur is the one who created Indraprastha. So he is the divine architect, magical qualities, right? So it was obviously, it came to my mind that his daughter cannot be an idiot, cannot be just a wife who is hiding behind him. So there must be more to her. So that is the essence of Mandodari that I have derived, that she must be the secret creator of Lanka. Lanka, the way it came from Kuber, it was Kuber's kingdom earlier. When Lanka was taken away from Kuber, it was a land with a lot of wealth, affluent. Kuber was. So, from whatever Ravan had got from Kuber, Ravan was the kind of person who would not allow any trace of its earlier ruler to remain, because he would want himself everywhere. So he would want a completely new design for everything. And so, if he needs a new design, then the designer is in his home, right? Then he must not have done it himself. That was not his talent, not documented anywhere. Then where did that talent come from? Obviously. What more than love, I'll come to the love aspect in a while. What I really enjoy thinking about in this aspect is understanding Ravan and through him or around him understanding the word power. What is power? So if I just go back to the Draupadi story, you see Arjun is said to be, we all know that Arjun is very powerful, right? The greatest archer, very powerful, capable of defeating anybody and all that. But the day, twice it happened in his life that two of his nearest people needed him and he was not available, he couldn't help. One was Draupadi, the other was Abhimanyu. He couldn't help. So what use is that power? Which cannot help? That means that cannot be real power. That is talent, that is skill, but not power. What I felt is Arjun's real power, the reason why we call Arjun powerful, is the last aspect of that before the war of Kurukshetra, the Gita conversation. And again, Krishna is the Antaratma. And Arjun had the power to get up and ask that I know I can defeat everybody, I can kill everybody, but why should I? This is a very basic leadership question, that I know I can destroy, but why should I? I know I can smash it out, but why should I? This was Arjun's power. And this was the power that Ravan didn't have. This was the power Ravan had. Ravan was extremely talented in Ayurveda, in astrology, in a lot of other things, in Ganit. He was extremely talented. But he messed up this idea of power. Whatever he had, it got into his head maybe, and he wanted to be known as the biggest, to be felt as the biggest. He wanted people to be afraid of him. Right? He didn't want people to love him. He didn't believe in that. So people's love was not what Ravan was looking for. Neither was he looking for any kind of validation from anybody. He felt that he was the ultimate answer. But then, love, especially when it comes from the most emotional corners of our brain, of our heart, is not in our control. Right? So whatever he was getting from Mandodari was not within his power to say that I don't want, and he was not in his power to reject it. Because it makes you feel good inside. So he cannot reject it. He, without knowing, he is moving ahead a few step by step in her direction, and she is pulling that string. So, coming to your question, I can only say that Ravan would have been far more destructive if it was not Mandodari.
She did stay with him. But like I read that according to Ravan, love makes you weak. So he doesn't believe in love in general. Right? So I want to know the relation between Mandodari and Sita as well, because Sita was always there in Lanka and Mandodari's presence. So Mandodari throughout had the urge to send Sita back to Rama. How did Sita's presence affect her relation with Ravana? Like, why did she feel as a hostage when she was the queen of Lanka, whereas Sita was the hostage, and Sita was not really affected. She was mostly in the meditation zone, right? So what was bothering Mandodari so much? Why did she have that urge to send her back?
See, there is a lot that we can take away. We probably have some such character in our brain, at least if not now, we had it in our younger days, that this kind of person will come out to say you that. Shiraz is that kind. So he was the first character that came to my mind, and I wanted to write the story of Shiraz, but Shiraz is a very impactful character, but a shorter character, not a protagonist kind of a character, but a very impactful character. He is the one that holds the story.
What made you write this? That, have you lived in a joint family sitting with cousins around, that the whole family frictions and dramas that are happening? Have you encountered that personally?
I stayed in a nuclear family, but extended family everywhere, Mama, Chacha, and Mashi, all around in Kolkata. So मैंने अपने कजिन से बहुत पूछा और मैंने अपने मामा से, मासी से, मदर से बहुत जुड़े हैं. And most of the times I didn't get caught. So now when my mother gets, now I tell her, but now जब मैं लग्न में थी, मैं इधर-उधर निकल जाती थी, घूमने थी. Okay, so now she tells me that, I have never seen a bigger liar than you. But then those were the formative stages of fiction writing. Right? So, I had a lot of fun with my family. They were all around the space. So, say for example, मैंने कुछ गड़बड़ किया है, and I know my father will come home and beat the fuck out of me. I can always just simply lock the door, take the key, and go to my mama's house. अभी हम लोग के ढूंढो पहले तो एक तो मोबाइल नहीं है, so ढूंढो कहाँ? There are hundreds of houses around. So ढूंढो पहले मैं कहाँ पड़ोस के घर या किसी रिलेटिव के घर और उसमें गलती मेरी है. So all these हरकतें मैंने बहुत किए हैं. So those have gone into the very much.
I hope you believe in karma. It all comes back. So over to you, ladies. Yeah, so it's an open question answer round. If you guys want to ask a question from Koral.
Tara, if you can just give a little brief about her. I'm a little inquisitive.
Yeah. So Indian mythology. So there is one school of thought which says that these were not Vanars, but they are Vananara, which is the forest dwellers. And another school says that no, they are the monkeys, right? So when my Tara will come out, it will see Tara as a monkey queen, the wife of Bali first and later Sugri. And in Tara, basically we will get to see a lot about human-animal conflicts, which is very interesting, very crucial, environmental, and a lot of comedy again. I'm very happy with that.
Two points say that. One is, the second thing is, why is the fact that like many of the Panchkanyas, they were all molested by someone or defined by someone. Why is the fact that Uncle tried to disrobe her hidden? Have you gone through this in your research? Why is this happening?
I have answered the other part in the book, so let me not touch on that. But the rest of your question, very little is written in the original Ramayana. Yeah. So very little is Mandodari ka Ullekh. Right. Now, Baki na different provinces, as I was talking about translations, it gets translated into different languages. It gets translated, Ramayana got translated into Persian and tribal languages as well. So while translating, everybody is a creative person. So while translating, हर किसी ने थोड़ा सा अपना डाल दिया.
But it's because she was the villain's wife.
Yeah, there could be reasons, many reasons why people wanted to do that. Some say that she was Sita's mother. Those are folk tales, from the folk tales. They are not from the original. So, yes, I would say fan fiction. What happens is, you see, folk tales is mainly through oral narratives or song, right? So मैं अपना song बांध रही हूँ, मैंने कुछ बांध दिया, right? लोगों ने, people liked it, it's spread out. I hear it, I believe it to be true, right? So a lot of that has happened. Then, जैसे in our older culture, there are a lot of road shows, जिसको बांग्ला में हम जात्रा बोलते हैं. But in every culture there is that jatra thing happening where people are a lot more dramatic, loud, makeup is loud. Earlier days, men used to dress up as women, right? So there also a lot of changes happened, and that got recorded in their own way because they had to repeat the performances. So a lot of extra narratives came out, and these are a product of those.
I would like to express my sincerest gratitude to Koral and Vindiji. I would like to thank our distinguished associate, Crystal Palace, and media partner, Debra Jargon. Last but not the least, thank you for being a wonderful audience. Prabhakiran Foundation promotes cross-state cultural understanding and appreciation. Our mosaic culture forms the backbone of a nation, contributing to its vibrancy and richness. This is to support our ongoing efforts to foster unity and appreciation of the rich cultural heritage across India's diverse states. Keeping this in mind, we are pleased to felicitate the author with a pointer. It is a shawl adorned around the shoulders of dignitary who is being honored, a tradition mainly in the southern part of India. In history, the elite Brahmins of Tamil Nadu wrap their shoulders with a single piece of cloth known as Angavastram. Like in many other cases, costumes are reserved only for the select upper caste sections till modern Indian history. The Ponadai dates back to the glorious Chola Empire of the medieval era, where it was worn on auspicious occasions by the elite sections. The literal meaning would be the precious golden cloth. I would now like to call upon Mr. Pulak Garda to felicitate our guest author with a beautiful poem.
Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam No soul was ever born outside this home. No heart has ever beat outside